Hi, Verl Workman here, CEO of Workman Success Systems, and it is my genuine and sincere pleasure to introduce the one and only Paul Sessum. Paul, thanks for being on the call today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Burl, and thank you for having me. I'm excited about it.
You know, the Faces of Real Estate is our project where we're talking to people who are out there making a difference in the communities that we serve. And in order to be on this, you have to be nominated by someone who's seen you make a difference. And it's cool, Paul, to have you be nominated by the Workman team as someone who makes a difference in the community you serve. Before we get started and talk about some of the causes and things that you do, I'd love to tell our listeners a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about Paul Sessum.
Well, I live here in Sherwood Forest, California, a small neighborhood of Los Angeles in the northwest corner of Los Angeles. My wife and I have been living in LA for about 24 years, 25, 26 years actually now. God, it's getting long, right? So we've been married 25. We were married here in LA, so it's had to be more than that. We've built our lives here. We started in a small community called Burbank, California. And we moved out here to Sherwood Forest about 5 years ago. So we live here with our 3 dogs, and we have a great property, a lovely home, and we love being here. Business here is fantastic. So I really love working in Los Angeles. And actually, it took me 7 years to really love this town. It's so big and has so much to offer that when we first moved here, I just didn't fit in for the longest time. And then suddenly one day you're driving the canyons and you're looking at the sunset and there's the water and the beach and the city's right there and I just knew how to get somewhere, right? I just knew how, and I could navigate the city and I love living in Los Angeles. We think about moving sometimes, and when we think about it, we keep coming back to we would miss the city so much. It's really quite lovely.
That's kind of fun. I know, people either love or hate LA. I think that people that live there, it's really hard to not love how close you are to the beaches and the perfect weather year round. And for those of us who visit, we love to come visit, but I miss the mountains. So, everybody has a place that they love. I can't find north, south, east, or west if I don't have my mountains near me.
Yeah, right. So I'm oriented by the ocean. Now, we lived in San Francisco for a while, and living there was difficult to orient because the peninsula, right? So living on the peninsula, the water was around you everywhere. So it's like, well, which way is west? I grew up in Mississippi on the Gulf Coast. I knew the beach was south. That was without question. The beach was south. And here in LA, I know that the beach is west. It's very clear. The mountains are to the east. It's simple to navigate.
That's fun. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Business here, we work primarily referral in our sales side. About 3 years ago, I stepped down as a team leader at Keller Williams and Keller Williams Burbank, where I had been the team leader for 9 years. And that operation grew to about 289 agents at the time that I was sitting in the chair. And between that office and our sister office in Glendale, that was about $4 to $4.5 billion worth of sales that we were working with and overseeing. So it was really a lovely position, great people, built with Nick and Mike, the owners, a huge team there, and really loved that. I sold again by referral while I was doing that. Beth and I are partnering. And when I stepped into work with you, I was going to relaunch my business, but things didn't quite work that way for me. And so working as a coach and being a coach with Workman Success has now been my primary focus. And sales happen as they happen, and it's not been a big push for us at this point in time.
It is interesting how you learn to find joy in other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And Workman Success showed up for me at the perfect time in my life, and it's just been a blessing, a gift, really. And it allowed me to do something that I'd been doing for a long time, yet I could get better because there was a structure around it, there was a system to it, there was the support, and the support not only from you, the support from these coaches that I still walk into the room with the coaches today and my knees just shake because the level of ability and commitment and care and knowledge and success is really quite high. So every time I walk in there, I just go, how am I going to hold my space in this room? I really have to talk to myself about that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a humbling group to be part of for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul, tell us a little bit about your giving back and your desire to give back to the community. Where did it come from? And talk to me about your project.
Well, giving back has always been something that's been innate with what I do. I grew up in Mississippi, as I said, and kind of poor, not kind of, we were just poor. And, you know, a single parent with 5 children. So we didn't have resources. And I was supported, not just by being given opportunity, but, you know, people would support me personally, and they would reach out and they would help me grow. And I learned from that really humble group of people that no one is going to get anywhere by themselves. We always have to look for somebody to support. And they taught me to really not just grow myself, but to reach back and pull. Everybody that came along that gave me opportunity said, look behind you and grab a hand. And as you're going, just bring them with you. And so that was instilled at a very early age. And when we started in Burbank with this project, Nick, Mike, and I were sitting down, and it was right when we were in the middle of the housing market crash in 2008, 2009, 2010. And people were just lost about connection. And so we were brainstorming about how we can make a presence in the community, not in the sense of a real estate company, but of how can we show up as people supporting people. And we brainstormed and we came up with this idea of, we called it Thank a Soldier. But we had brave Americans who had, you know, we'd just gone through 9/11, and there was the Afghan wars, and all of this was going on. Is that we said, you know, these people are giving us the opportunity to be in a position to give and to support. So how do we support our brave Americans who are serving around the world? Now, I don't know a lot about military, quite frankly. And so I have a brother who served in the Navy. He was a special ops guy. I don't know what he did really. What I do know is that in 1998, he was one of the Sailors of the Year that Clinton acknowledged at the White House, and quite a big honor. So he did well. And I said, how do we give back to these people who are serving us? And so we came out with this pack boxes with love from our community and send it abroad. And as we started talking about it, there were people in the office who had other connections, and we were able to connect with a group called Hands Across the Battlefield, very small organization in Burbank, and they were sending out about 250 boxes a year through the community. And we just decided to join partners with them and reach across the battlefield, hold their hand, pull them in with their knowledge, and then we powered that with presence. So our first year of giving back was our agents all came on board, and we all said yes. And we had about 160 boxes that we packed on our first event, 166 to be exact. And community came out. It was a lovely event. We had the senators show up. We had our mayor show up, our council people show up, and we started to build this presence. And the agents created a band, and we had a band that played, and other agents got out with hot dogs and hamburgers, and they were flipping their grills, and they were making it work to feed the community because thank you for giving. So we fed them, and we brought in the color guard from the military, and we had each one of the service sectors show up to be present, and it just created this warm feel. So after that, the entire office and the community just came together as one, and we said, how can we do this even better? So the next year we set a goal for 300 boxes, and we ended up packing 500, and the next year we ended up with a goal of 750, and we packed 1,000. So we knew we could do it, and it just expanded. So each year it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, today, after this will be the 10th year coming up in October. This year, this event takes up a city block, and it's held in the Yumi parking lot. They have their entire credit union donations that come in for the brave Americans around the world. And we still have our band that's playing. It's just elevated now. It's gotten a little bit more sophisticated. The fire department comes out with their trucks and they raise the ladders up, and a big giant American flag drops down on the side of the building. And, you know, every year we stand there and just tears, it's tears of love and joy just flood through. So it's that event has just become an amazing community piece. The senators still come, the government still shows up, all of the support and all the service, everybody in the community shows up. The Rotary Club will give 1,000 pair of socks to this event. We have somebody who donates hot sauce in particular. They've been doing it for years now. Every year they just give us cases of hot sauce to send out. And it's all very unique and it's become very cool. Kids come and they write letters. The schools are involved. And literally they will walk down the street with these letters that the kids have written to brave Americans thanking them. And that all goes into each of the boxes. It's really quite special. It's lovely. It's fun.
Well, this is just me being curious, but like, do you get feedback from the soldiers that receive the care packages? Do you hear back from them? What kind of response do you get from them?
It's emotional one. The first letter we got was this soldier that was silhouetted against the hills of Afghanistan. And you could see his helmet and he had his rifle, the hills are in the back, the sky is blue. And he wrote this letter because the boxes arrived between Thanksgiving and New Year's. We've planned that intentionally. And they said, here we're sitting out here alone. There's only 25 of us. And we've been out here for 3 months. And this box comes. And it's a box of love. This is how we came to finding, you know, it's a box of love. It's a box of love from home. And even though we don't live in Burbank, California, we are grateful for the people there. And he went on and talked about how it inspired him and helped him feel better and connected to what he was doing had purpose. And he was happy to be acknowledged and recognized. Just amazing. We get chaplains who will receive 50 boxes at a time, and they'll break them all apart and distribute all the goods so that everybody, wherever they're at, will get something from home out of those boxes. And they write the letters back to say, you know, you made a difference in people's lives. You created a holiday when there wasn't one. And so it's really cool to have that. And it's not just us as an office, as that group of Keller Williams agents. It's the community. It's the entire community that shows up.
That's pretty impactful. When you think about all of the people, you start with an idea, and it's a small idea, and you pack 20 boxes, and now it turns into thousands or tens of thousands of boxes that go out to the people that serve our great country. It's really cool. I love the cause, and I love that you have the military. You know, it's interesting. A lot of people have something in their life that's personal that happens that draws them to a cause or a charity. Was there something about the military that made you go, let's pick this, or were you just looking for something?
Well, it was living in a community that has a lot of veterans and being around that support or that acknowledgement and hearing their stories. There is a connection in the community, and it's like, if we're going to connect to the community, then let's connect to people who are serving. Let's connect to people who have given a service. Burbank is a very proud community. It's a little Mayberry right on the edge of Los Angeles, one of the biggest cities in the country, not the second largest city in the country. And we're in the most populated county in the country. So LA County is the 10th, sometimes the 9th largest state. You know, it's that population in LA County is more than most states have. And so it's massive. And in this there's this little town, and when you come into Burbank, the feeling of it changes just like that. And there's pride of ownership, and there's pride of being a Burbanker, right? The school systems are really great. You walk down the streets, you feel safe, you meet people that you know everywhere. You're running into people in this little town constantly, and it's about 105,000 people, maybe somewhere between that and 110,000. It's about 17 square miles. And it was a working class town. It's become sort of this really high-end little community now. So as property values have increased, as you know, people want to live close to LA, but they want the independent from the city of LA. So Burbank is its own independent city. So it's that's how it all came about, is that community. A lot of veterans lived there. The Lockheed plant was there. It just has a whole history of being engaged with the military.
I love that. When you look back at the impact that it's made on your family and your team and your community, how do you measure the impact?
I measure the impact through. That's a great question. So the measure of the impact is the response that we get from the activity that's done from our brave Americans coming back to us. The impact that it makes on the youth through the school system is they're writing letters, and they get to take a moment to understand a part that's really, how do we celebrate freedom? How do we celebrate our independence? We have protections. We don't see those protections running up and down our streets like some countries do.
Right.
We're outward focused and moving, we're home, we're just living life. We have a very unique society that way, I think. And so helping kids understand that, right? The agents who walk the walk, they stand up and they're connected to this event, and they're all involved. It's not like a handful of the agents are involved. They're all involved because the cause is good. And then that interaction from the community that says, oh yeah, you're the Thank a Soldier people. You're the people who are putting this event together. We've donated. So it's a constant conversation. And in that says that we're remembering, the cause is to remember and be grateful for these people who are putting their lives on the line for us to just be able to walk down our Mayberry and enjoy it.
You're the first person I've ever heard refer to Burbank as Mayberry. Mayberry was really a small town. Burbank's big.
But Mayberry compared it to LA now.
You're right. But I think
Burbank
it's
compared
actually
to LA.
really cool. I think it's really cool that you found your community and that you make such a big difference. So what are you going to do going forward? What are your plans to continue to serve going forward? Now that you've done this, are you out?
Well, I've taken the past 3 years, I've taken a break. I'll get back involved again. And the office is still there, Karen Volpe and Barry Gusso and Joyce Starleaf, Holly Patterson, they've all taken the mantles. Jamel Ramirez, Nick and Mike, the owners, they've all taken the mantle and run with it, and they keep it going. It has a life of its own now. What I love to do is I like to work with second chance high school students. I have a passion for seeing these young people who are being challenged because they're a little bit different, right? They're thinking a little bit different. And when I see kids in second chance high schools, meaning that they didn't make it in the mainstream, I actually look at those kids as our brilliant leaders of the future, because they're already thinking outside of the box. They're already challenging thought concepts and principles and ideas. They're not necessarily book learned, although they're pretty dang smart. They're not able to sit in classes all the time, just hey, and yet they are eager to give back and to learn and to grow and expand. So I want to do more. I do more with these kids in terms of developing mindset, identifying what opportunity looks like, how do they see that, how can they get there, understanding that their circumstance today is not the circumstance of their entire life. It's just today, this is where you're at. And how do we wake that up to say, you can be somewhere else if you choose, and you can do it your way. It's okay to do it your way. Just listen to some others and get some advice and then turn it into your way. So that's my next goal, and then connect them to actually helping in this project so that they're doing something bigger as well. If they start doing things that are bigger, they see bigger.
That's so cool. I love that. I love that your mission is to help the young people believe that they can do things that other people are telling them they can't, and that the way they find success is by serving and getting involved in the other projects. So, just finally, Paul, what advice would you give someone who is trying to figure out how they can make a difference in their own community? How do they get started in something like this? It wasn't a big project when you started, but it certainly has become one.
Well, first, I think be what are you passionate about? What do you care about, right? If what you're caring about, somebody else in your community is probably caring about as well. And if you can connect to that, then that's coming from a place of being authentic, right? You want to be in that space, whatever it is find out what's in your heart first, find out what makes a difference in your life, and then connect that to the bigger piece. Then you're able to give, and it's effortless, and it just happens, and you're listening, and for us, we just had to listen a lot. We had to listen a whole lot. We knew what we wanted to do, but that was irrelevant to what was needed, really. And so as we were listening and learning, we were able to grow it from just some agents who were, cutting up in a parking lot and packing some boxes and having fun, to something that's made an impact in the entire community. And it became bigger than we thought it would be, quite frankly. And it was because we were all connected.
Well, Paul, I appreciate all of your giving on behalf of all the soldiers. I love that you give back to our brave soldiers who serve at every level and every capacity in service. There's so many difference makers out there that don't get a thank you, and it's a great way to serve them. And I certainly compliment you, and I'm humbled by your desire to give and make a difference in the community. And I just want you to know that I can encourage you to continue to do that as you continue to reinvent who you are in the world. It's fun to see you just staying focused with, who you are at the core, and that's a true giver. So thank you for being that.
I appreciate that, Burl. And go check us out on Facebook, because we do have our Facebook page, The Thank a Soldier in Burbank. It's a beautiful videos. You can go back a couple of years and see what we've been doing and how it's grown, and really participate. And if you know a brave American that's serving somewhere, send me their address, and we'll make sure that they get that box this year. So send it to me, and we'll take care of them.
Love that. Paul Sessum, thanks for being here. On behalf of Workman Success Systems and the Faces of Real Estate, we wish you great success. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Burl. Take care.